You just got your first real paycheck. You open the app. The number's smaller than you thought. Taxes took a bite, but hey, it's still money you earned. Real money. Adult money. So you do what every 22-year-old does. You check your balance, maybe buy something small to celebrate, and move on with your life. Here's the problem. Somewhere in that stack of new hire paperwork you signed on day one, the one you didn't read, the one with the tiny checkboxes, there was a form that was quietly costing you $1,200 a year. Not because you did something wrong, because you did nothing. And the wildest part? This isn't some scam. It's not a trick. It's actually free money your employer is trying to give you, and almost nobody takes it. By the end of this video, you're going to know exactly what that form does, how much it's actually worth over your lifetime, and the 2-minute fix that puts that money back in your pocket starting with your very next paycheck. Let's be honest. Nobody teaches you this stuff. School taught you the quadratic formula. It didn't teach you what a 401k match is, or why ignoring it is basically the same as your boss handing you a $100 bill and watching you throw it in the trash. Here's why this matters so much right now at 22, and not later. Money you invest today has decades to grow. Money you invest at 35 has way less time to do the same job. So the version of you sitting here right now, fresh paycheck in hand, is holding more financial power than you'll ever have again. And most people waste the first few years of it without even knowing. This isn't a video about just save more. You've heard that 1,000 times and it never actually helps. This is about one specific, avoidable mistake, the 401k match. And by the end you'll understand it better than most people twice your age. Section 1. What a 401k match actually is. Okay, plain English. No jargon. A 401k is just a special savings account for retirement that comes through your job. You put money in from your paycheck before it even hits your bank account. But here's the part almost nobody explains well. A lot of companies will match what you put in. Meaning, for every dollar you contribute, they add extra money on top. Free money. Not a loan. Not a bonus you have to pay back. It's compensation you already earned, sitting there waiting for you to claim it. A common setup looks like this. Your employer matches 50 cents for every dollar you put in, up to 6% of your paycheck. So if you make $40,000 a year and you contribute that 6%, about $2,400, your employer tosses in another $1,200. That's the number in the title. That's not a hypothetical. That's a real common match structure sitting in a huge number of workplace retirement plans in the US right now. If you don't contribute at all, you don't get that $1,200. It doesn't roll over. It doesn't show up somewhere else. It just evaporates. Every single year you skip it. Section 2. Why almost nobody takes it. So if it's free money, why does almost every 22-year-old leave it on the table? 3 reasons, and you've probably felt at least one of them. Not evil corporation boring on purpose. Just nobody designed onboarding to be exciting. It's stacked between insurance forms and tax documents, and your brain checks out by page 4. So the box stays unchecked, not because you decided against it, but because you never actually decided at all. Reason 2, retirement feels imaginary. You're 22. Retirement is 40-something years away. Your brain is wired to care about now, rent, food, that trip with your friends, not a version of you that's 65 and doesn't exist yet. Money psychologists call this temporal discounting. Basically, your brain treats future you like a stranger, and it's really hard to save for a stranger. Reason 3, you think you can't afford it. This one's the biggest misconception. You assume contributing to a 401k means less money to live on right now. But most matches only require a small percentage, often less than what people spend on subscriptions they forgot to cancel. None of these reasons make you irresponsible. They make you human. But understanding why the mistake happens is the first step to making sure it doesn't happen to you. Section 3. The real cost, not just $1,200. Here's where it gets interesting. $1,200 sounds like a nice chunk of change. Annoying to miss, but not life-changing, right? Wrong. And this is the part that should actually make you angry. That $1,200 doesn't just sit there. If it's invested, which is what a 401k does, it grows. Compound growth means your money makes money, and then that money makes money too. Let's play this out. Say you miss out on that $1,200 match every single year for just 10 years, starting at 22. That's $12,000 in missed contributions. But because you never invested it, none of it ever had the chance to grow. Now imagine the version of you who did check that box. That same $1,200 a year, invested and left to grow for roughly 40 years until retirement, using a modest long-term average market return, doesn't just turn into $12,000. It can realistically grow into six figures. Let that sink in. One tiny form, unchecked, quietly costing you what could be tens of thousands, potentially over $100,000 by the time you retire. This is why the poverty-to-wealth gap isn't always about how much someone earns. Sometimes it's about who understood the paperwork on day one. Section 4. But I have debt bills, I need cash now. I know what some of you are thinking. Cool story, but I have rent due Friday. I can't just lock money away for 40 years. Fair. Let's address that honestly, because financial advice that ignores real life isn't actually helpful. If you genuinely cannot afford your basic bills, survival comes first. No video, no formula, no compound interest chart matters more than keeping a roof over your head. But here's the nuance almost nobody tells you. If your employer offers any match, even contributing just enough to get the match, often as little as 3 to 6% of your paycheck, is usually worth prioritizing over almost anything else, including some debt payoff strategies, because you're not just earning a return. You're earning an instant, guaranteed 50% or 100% return the moment your employer matches it. No investment on earth normally does that. The exception is high-interest debt, like credit cards charging 20% plus interest. That's a fire you put out first. But for most other situations, capturing the match isn't optional savings. It's unclaimed income. Section 5, the 2-minute fix. Alright, let's make this actionable because information without action is just trivia. Step 1. Log into your HR or benefits portal, or ask HR directly. Does my employer offer a 401k match, and what percentage do I need to contribute to get the full match? Step 2. Set your contribution to at least that percentage. Not more, not less, the exact number that unlocks the full match. You can always increase it later. Step 3. Don't touch the investment settings unless you know what you're doing. Most plans automatically place you in a reasonable default fund. The goal today isn't to become an investing expert. It's to stop leaving free money unclaimed. That's it. 2 minutes. One form. Potentially 6 figures over your lifetime. Here's the twist most people never realize. This isn't really a story about 401ks. It's a story about how the biggest financial mistakes rarely feel like mistakes in the moment. Nobody dramatically decides to lose $100,000. They just don't check a box. They just assume future them will handle it. They just get busy. The scariest financial mistakes are quiet. They don't announce themselves. And that's exactly why they're so common, and exactly why understanding them early puts you ahead of almost everyone your age. So here's your simple framework. Call it the free money first rule. Before you optimize your budget, before you pick stocks, before you download 5 different investing apps, ask one question about every paycheck-related benefit you're offered. Is anyone offering to match, double, or add to what I put in? If yes, claim it first, every time, before anything else. This applies beyond 401ks too. HSAs with employer contributions, referral bonuses, even certain employer stock programs often work the same way. Free money should always jump the line, because it's the only investment that starts you off already ahead. You're not going to remember every number in this video. That's okay. But remember this, the version of you sitting there with your first paycheck has more power than you realize. Not because you have a lot of money, but because you have a lot of time, and time is the one thing money can't buy back later. The $1,200 mistake isn't really about being careless. It's about being 22 and never being taught to look for the box that says, free money here. Now you know where to look. So today, not next payday, not eventually, go check. Ask HR. Look at your benefits portal. 2 minutes now could be the most valuable 2 minutes of your entire financial life. Because the truth is, Most people don't become wealthy by making one genius decision. They become wealthy by not making the quiet mistakes everyone else does.